That 60 Minutes itself and CBS itself is now completely MAGA. I don't see it that way. They all pulled out. This is a question about what looks best for the Democrats, because I don't think that looks good. It looks like you are just what people say about you. I watch 60 Minutes every week. I had since I was a kid. If I didn't hear all the buzz in the media, if I didn't read about it all the time, would I ever notice that it was any different? I don't think I would.
Bill Maher repeatedly shut down Democratic Senator Chris Murphy's claim that Trump is somehow hijacking 60 Minutes just to tell his story on CBS. And no matter which direction Chris Murphy tried to take the conversation, Bill Maher kept getting in his way and forcing him back to reality. Trust me, this is one of the best examples of fake news media rumors getting shut down by one of their own. But before I show you that clip, people need to understand who Chris Murphy really is. Because this is the same guy who went on live television after Biden's disastrous debate and tried to convince everyone that Biden was still the better candidate.
Joe Biden didn't have a great night last night. Donald Trump had a terrible night last night. I think voters care about substance. I don't think they only care about style. I think Donald Trump was rambling and hard to follow last night. Well, Joe Biden has won a whole bunch of primaries when voters had a choice between him and a younger candidate. And I think most voters have already priced in the fact that both of our candidates are old. But, you know, for Joe Biden, with age comes experience as well. And you had in front of the country yesterday a president who cares about us, who cares about making sure that the office is conducted in a dignified way, and President Trump, who was as reckless and irresponsible as ever. You can't run a country, you can't run a civilization when truth doesn't matter. And the fact that the conversation today is more around the style of Joe Biden's answers instead of the absolute cataclysmic level of lying and fabrication being done by Donald Trump, I just think is a real sad statement on our politics today.
Chris Murphy's break with reality happened a long time ago. And honestly, you have to wonder about the people who keep voting for him, because how do they not see what everyone else can clearly see? This man has become one of those designated Democratic talking heads they send to every show and every camera, because somehow they could say anything with a straight face and feel zero embarrassment. And now he has the audacity to claim that Trump is turning America into a censorship state. Let's watch this.
What do you think of the shakeup at 60 Minutes? Big controversy.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you're watching a censorship state be created. Trump is using the powers that he has available as president of the United States to install only friendly ownership at the big media companies. He's using regulatory powers to punish people who oppose him.
That's a big charge that you just made. That 60 Minutes itself and CBS itself is now completely MAGA. I don't see it that way.
It's not completely MAGA.
Well, that's kind of what you said.
But he is clearly intent on installing people who will tell his story.
Oh, of course.
And will keep his critics off the air.
But let me ask you this question. I watch 60 Minutes every week. I've had since I was a kid. If I didn't hear all the buzz in the media, if I didn't read about it all the time, would I ever notice that it was any different? I don't think I would.
Yeah, it's not just 60 Minutes, and part of it is that you don't know what they choose not to. You don't know what they choose not to air.
That's true too.
Part of what the allegation is that they are killing stories that would be embarrassing for the president. So it's hard to know what you're missing in a censorship environment.
But I've seen ones that are not very favorable to the president.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. I don't know if I would have noticed any different if I hadn't been reading about it. Also, I just don't think being a 60 Minutes correspondent is that hard. I don't feel like Scott Pelley was a national treasure. Companies change hands all the time. I never liked him, sorry, I just never did. Companies change hands. People bring in their own people, their new ownership. You know, just because something changes doesn't mean. I feel like we see everything through such a partisan lens. Oh my God, 60 Minutes has a new cast. So does Saturday Night Live.
Bill, it's not just 60 Minutes, right? I mean, they
but
literally they
I
took down
agree.
his chief late night critic. CBS News at 6:30 does sound and feel different.
Trust
so
me,
this is not just about 60 Minutes.
I feel it too.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm part of it. I get it. But we're just talking about 60 Minutes now. But yes, I agree. He's a danger to media. He's a danger to freedom of speech. But just 60 Minutes, I don't know. I mean, and I'm not going to make that decision until I see a smoking gun, like something like, oh wow, now we're tick tick tick, Candace Owens and Alex Jones on 60 Minutes.
I must say this man is suffering from a serious case of TDS because he keeps creating these delusions and expects everyone else to follow along as if they make sense. But I do not think that it's going to work anymore because he is accusing the right of doing the exact thing the left has been doing for years. He wants to talk about censorship now. But where was this energy when his own party was pushing people off platforms, silencing opinions, pressuring media companies, and labeling everything they disagreed with as dangerous misinformation? And if Chris Murphy has forgotten what censorship actually looks like, let me remind him using examples from his own side.
You shouldn't be banned from one platform and not others for providing misinformation out there.
There's no guarantee to free speech on misinformation or hate speech, and especially around our democracy.
There are Americans who are engaged in this kind of propaganda, and whether they should be civilly or even in some cases criminally charged is something that would be a better deterrent.
If people go to only one source and the source they go to is sick and, has an agenda and they're putting out disinformation, our First Amendment stands as a major block. It's really hard to govern today.
This is a matter of corporate responsibility. Twitter should be held accountable and shut down that site. It is a matter of safety and corporate accountability.
The First Amendment is not absolute. It does not protect any single thing anyone says. And there are limits, and that's important. And what this committee has been trying to do for the last year and a half is to chill the federal government from monitoring what is going on social media.
When you look at what Tucker Carlson and some of these other folks on Fox do, it is very, very clearly incitement of violence. Very clearly incitement of violence. I believe that when it comes to broadcast television, like Fox News, these are subject to federal law, federal regulation in terms of what's allowed on air and what isn't.
So my biggest concern is that your view has the First Amendment hamstringing the government in significant ways.
If the platforms, whether it's Facebook or Twitter X or Instagram or TikTok, whatever they are, if they don't moderate and monitor the content, we lose total control. And it's not just the social and psychological effects, it's real harm.
And it is not just this. The left is now panicking because one of their own legacy media platforms is starting to show a little bit of common sense, and they're losing control of the world they built. And just for comparison, watch how 60 Minutes treated Obama and Kamala compared to how they treated Trump. The difference tells you everything, and half the audience noticed it too.